Why you can't get through to a Trump supporter. There's a psychological reason for that. So I decided to do some research on psychological resistance to understand what's actually going on here. You show them evidence, they dismiss it. You show them a video, they say it's fake. You show them court documents, they say the courts are corrupt. Nothing works. It's not that they can't see the truth. It's that seeing the truth would destroy who they are, inside. Here are the 7 psychological reasons you can't get through to a Trump supporter. 1. The mental block. In 1961, psychiatrist Robert Lifton studied survivors of Chinese communist brainwashing. Cult leaders don't just control what their followers think. They control whether their followers think at all. Lifton called it thought stopping. Here's how it works. The human brain is always scanning for information that might threaten them. So cult leaders preload a response inside the follower's head. The second a threatening thought appears, a phrase fires automatically, and the brain shuts off before the thought can fully form. Trump preloaded 4 of these phrases into each of his followers. Fake news, witch hunt, TDS, deep state. He did it the same way every cult leader does it. Repetition. Say the phrase every single day. Attach it to fear and anger. Repeat it until the brain does it automatically. Trump said fake news over 2,000 times in his first term alone. Not because he believed it, but because he was programming a response. You could spend hours building an argument, gathering sources, collecting evidence, making your case. And a Trump supporter kills it with 2 words. Fake news. Before it even registers. Lifton documented the same technique in every cult he's ever studied. It works because the followers have no idea it's even happening to them. A Trump supporter genuinely believes they are thinking. Stupid people are easy to program. That's the whole business model. Thought stopping didn't create hateful people. It just turned off the part of the brain that used to feel guilty about being hateful. 2. Significance quest. Before Trump, these people were invisible. Nobody talked to them. Nobody talked about them. Their towns were dying. Their jobs were gone. They didn't matter to anyone. Then Trump showed up and said, I see you, and you matter. He's lying, of course. He told them that they were real Americans. And for the first time in their lives, they felt important. In 2014, Ari Kuglansky at the University of Maryland studied why ordinary people join extremist movements. He found that the main driver is not ideology. The main driver is the need to feel like your life matters. People who feel invisible and unimportant are easy targets for anyone who offers them significance and a mission. Kruglansky called this significance quest theory. People who feel like their lives have no meaning will follow anyone who fills that void. Trump gave these people a sense of importance. Conspiracy thinking made the importance even stronger. They know about the deep state. They know about the stolen election. They know the real truth. They are delusional. A guy working a dead-end job with no direction is handed a red hat and told he's a patriot saving America from a global conspiracy. This is the first time that man has ever felt like his life had purpose. He didn't earn this sense of importance. Just believe and submit. And now you're part of the team. You're not asking Trump supporters to change their politics. You're asking them to become nobody again. And they'd rather believe the lie than go back to being invisible. 3. The need to belong. Trump supporters lose friends. They lose family. They lose co-workers. And they replace all of them with other Trump supporters. The movement becomes their entire world. In 1995, psychologist Roy Baumeister at Case Western University studied the human need for connection and belonging. He found that the people's need for belonging is one of the most powerful drivers in human behavior. People will put up with almost anything to maintain the feeling of belonging. And once every person in your life is inside one group, leaving that group means being completely alone. He called this study the need to belong. A person's drive for connection is so powerful that people will abandon reality before they abandon the group that gives them a sense of belonging. Conspiracy thinking is what bonds the group together. The shared secret is the glue. Trump supporters are not just fellow voters. They are fellow truth-tellers in a world full of sheep. They share the same theories. They repeat the same phrases. They tell each other that they are the right ones in every argument. That bond is stronger than friendship. You're not asking a Trump supporter to change their political opinion. You're asking that person to lose every friend they have. And for most Trump supporters, MAGA friends are the only friends they have left. 4. The sunk cost of shame. Trump supporters don't just defend Trump. They have to defend every single thing they have said and done in Trump's name. Every argument, every holiday dinner ruined, every relationship they destroyed, every post they made. Admitting Trump is wrong means admitting the last 10 years were wrong, that they were the problem, and they can't handle that. In the 1970s, psychologist Barry Stahl at UC Berkeley studied what happens when people have invested deeply in a failed course of action. Stahl found that instead of pulling back, people double down, people escalate. They put in more money, more time, more energy, because stopping would mean the original investment was wasted. He called this escalation of commitment, when ordinary people commit extraordinary harm without feeling like monsters. When these people do something that violates their morals, their brain rewrites the story to make the violation justified. The new story requires you to keep going, because if you stop now, the original act stands alone, unforgivable, unjustifiable, criminal in some cases. But if you escalate, the original act becomes necessary. There's always a chance in the future to be right, if you never admit you're wrong. So they keep going. Just the next step forward to the next horrible thing, because their ego won't let them quit even if they know they're wrong. I call this the sunk cost of shame. Every dollar they donate, every yard sign they planted, every family member they cut off, every conspiracy theory they spread. Admitting Trump is a fraud to them is not just changing their vote. It means admitting they told their families, their friend, and their coworkers lies. For years, they were the problem. The truth in this case doesn't set them free. The truth makes them a fool. Let's be honest, they pretty much are a fool. And because of their fragile ego, they would rather do anything else but look like a fool. They'd rather stay loyal to a lie than spend the rest of their life knowing everyone was right about them and they were wrong. 5. Mutual destruction. Cults don't just make you believe. They make you participate. This is how cults work. In 2009, psychologist William Swan at the University of Texas studied what happens when people share extreme experiences with a group. Swan found that once people have gone through something intense together, their personal identity fuses with the group identity. The boundary between who they are as an individual and who they are as a member of the group disappears. Once this fusion happens, leaving the group feels like destroying yourself. Swan called this identity fusion, when a person's sense of self becomes so entangled with the group that attacking the group feels like attacking the person. Leaving the group feels like losing yourself. Leaving the group also feels like it might have some legal consequences. MAGA did this on January 6th. Thousands of people committed federal crimes together in a failed insurrection at the Capitol. They implicated themselves in crimes. Some of them streamed the insurrection live on social media. Leaving now means turning on yourself. It means possibly going to jail for your crimes. Then they defended his lies. Then they excused his cruelty. Then they stormed the Capitol. Then they defended federal agents killing people in the streets. Every step they took bonded them deeper into the group through shared complicity. Trump goes down, they go down. Where was your leader that day during the failed insurrection? Watching it on television drinking a Diet Coke. Trump goes down, you go down. 6. The propaganda machine. Every single day, Fox News, Newsmax, Truth Social, and right-wing podcasters tell Trump supporters the same story with the same villains. The media is corrupt. The courts are rigged. The Democrats are evil. Republicans who turn on Trump are traitors. The same message, every day, from every source they trust. In the 1960s, communications researcher George Gerbner at the University of Pennsylvania studied what happens when people hear the same message over and over again from every source they consume. Gerbner found that repeated exposure does not just inform people. Repeated exposure replaces what people believe is real. Their own experiences stop mattering. The message becomes their reality. Gerbner called this cultivation theory. When hearing the same message over and over again from every source you trust, eventually replaces your sense of reality with the message itself. After months and years of hearing the same story from every direction, the brain stops questioning the story. The story just becomes the truth. So when the real news reports something bad about Trump, that's fake news to them. When courts rule against Trump, those are corrupt judges. When Republicans break from Trump, those are traitors. There's no outside source Trump supporters trust anymore. Every piece of evidence that proves Trump supporters wrong just proves the conspiracy is bigger than they thought. Right-wing media is the machine that keeps the cult alive. It's the propaganda delivery system. Without right-wing media, the whole thing falls apart. Trump supporters don't think for themselves anymore. They're told what to think every single day, and they're completely addicted to being told what to think. Ban right-wing media and propaganda, and that destroys the cult. 7. The Dunning-Kruger effect. In 1999, psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger ran a series of experiments. They tested people on logic, grammar, and humor. Here's what they found. The people who scored the lowest rated themselves the highest on tests. The people who scored the highest rated themselves average. The less you know about something, the more confident you are. The more you actually know, the more you doubt yourself. Why? Because incompetent people lack the skills to recognize their own incompetence. You don't know enough to realize how much you don't know. In other words, stupid people are too stupid to know they're stupid. This shows up everywhere with conservatives. Doctors spend 11 years studying medicine. I did my own research on Facebook. Climate scientists with decades of data sound the alarm. It snowed yesterday. Checkmate. Virologists study pandemics their entire lives. It's just the flu. You watch the 10-minute YouTube video and think you know more than people who studied the topic for decades. That's not confidence. That's the Dunning-Kruger effect. That's incompetence so deep you can't even see your own incompetence. Here's why this is so dangerous. Actual experts doubt themselves constantly. They know how complex things are. They understand what they don't know. So when they speak, they give a careful, measured response. They say things like, the data suggests, or based on current evidence. Conservatives hear that and think they're uncertain, so if it's not 100% certain, then it's not facts. The Dunning-Kruger effect explains why conservatives are so sure about everything they're wrong about. You're not smart enough to realize you're not smart. So you keep talking, keep arguing, keep embarrassing yourself. And when your argument falls apart, when the facts prove you wrong, and they always do, you don't admit it. You double down. You shout fake news or UFTDS or the deep state because admitting you're wrong would require the intelligence to recognize you were wrong in the first place. And you don't have that. Meanwhile, actual experts have to put up with your nonsense because right-wing media keeps giving you a stage to speak on. So the next time you start a sentence with, I did my own research, stop. You didn't. You Googled something until you found what you wanted to hear. You watched a conspiracy video on YouTube. You read a Facebook post from someone equally clueless. That's not research. That's lazy thinking. Real research is peer-reviewed studies, controlled experiments, years of education and expertise, not 20 minutes on the toilet watching Bigfoot videos. The problem is confident idiots have bigger platforms than qualified experts, and everyone else suffers for it. If you've been trying to get through to someone in the Trump cult and nothing has worked, it's not because you failed. It's because you're fighting against these 7 psychological blocks that were designed to keep that person in the cult. You can't get through to a Trump supporter in many cases because getting through to them would require that person to lose their sense of importance, their purpose, their community, their identity, and their certainty in things that aren't true. None of these people are strong enough to survive that, so they choose to believe the lie. And they'll keep choosing the lie until the lie collapses and brings them back to reality. And when the lie does collapse, they won't admit it. They won't apologize. They won't take responsibility for the damage they caused. They'll do what they've always done. They'll pretend none of it ever happened. They'll take their red hat off, delete the posts, and try to walk back into polite society like none of this ever happened. They think we'll just let them back into polite society with no accountability. That part's up to you. You get to decide how you want to welcome them back. That is who these people are. They don't have the integrity to admit they were wrong. And when MAGA goes down, they go down.